Hi, everybody. I'm Ralph Benmergui. Welcome to Yehuppetsville. I hope you're having a wonderful day. This one I'm really looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it because my sister-in-law, her mother came from Glace Bay, Celia, and she was the Bullions, which is the married name. So what happened with her is she moved from Glace Bay to Montreal, from Montreal to Toronto. And I thought, Glace Bay, wow. What goes on in Glace Bay? But I'll introduce you to the folks. Sharon Jacobson, Judith Goldberg, Heidi Schwartz, Jack Shore, Mark Simon, and Lowell Shore. All right, Sharon, why don't I start with you? It feels to me like you're a certain glue to this community. What is it that drives you about Glace Bay?
Um, well, I think I'll have to start with a reference to Fiddler on the Roof. To me, Glace Bay is like Anatevka. It's a place where you grew up and you knew who you were and what God expected you to do, as well as everybody in the village.
Main Street in Glace Bay, when we were growing up, just about every store was a Jewish-owned store. Grocery store, clothing stores.
How did you fit into the greater community of Glace Bay?
So I'm probably, except for Mark, am the youngest person, but except for Mark on the Zoom here. And I don't ever remember experiencing sort of any anti-Semitism or any sort of not belonging. But we happened in my year or my cohort to have a great number of Jewish people. So I think there was a certain strength in numbers. My Hebrew school class had 10 people in it, which was really sort of unusual. And we didn't really stick so closely together, but we were very, very friendly.
No, I've never really experienced any anti-Semitism. Most of my friends were all Christian. I had one or two Jewish friends.
I didn't experience any anti-Semitism either. But we had a unique group, especially the guys. I can't speak for the girls, and Jack can confirm this. We did everything together. We did a lot of sports. We had our own hockey team, our own basketball team, our own bowling team.
Yeah, I experienced a little anti-Semitism. I was called a dirty Jew in the street once, and I think there wasn't overt anti-Semitism, but I think there was some, lurking under the surface that we were all aware of. But there wasn't any kind of demonstrations or anything that happened publicly that would affect people, but it was there.
What was Glace Bay like? Like, paint a picture for me. If I had walked through your lives in Glace Bay, what would it have been like?
There was one main street and commercial street, but now it's a one-way street, but it was a two-way street, and it led all the way. It led up to another street called McKean Street and Main Street. So it just extended and extended. And this, in some way, the town was divided between the Catholic area and the Protestant area. So if you were going south, like towards South Street from the division of Commercial Street and Main Street, that was considered to be mostly the Protestant area of Glace Bay. Although if you extend it to places that have small names, extensions of Glace Bay, suburbs like Caledonia, there was a big Catholic church and whatnot. But then if you, in the other direction, it was extremely Catholic. There was St. Anne's School, St. Anne's Church, St. Michael's High School. There were two high schools. One was Protestant, one was Catholic. The Jewish people in general veered to the Protestant high school.
I have two things to say from Judith. The layout of the town. Next door could be these mining houses. And you could live in a very nice house next to a very poor coal miner's house that he shared with someone. So socioeconomic groups we're close.
I wonder if there's a nostalgia there must be some nostalgia for your upbringings for Glace Bay, because it sounds to me like you all still know each other and you still have a bond.
You talk about nostalgia, and we can go to these big cities, and I live in Halifax, but even here, the synagogues are bigger and not so impersonal now. The community here is even shrinking somewhat, but there are things that I wrote down because I wasn't sure exactly what you were going to ask when you talked about nostalgia. One is the Glace Bay Shoal. When I was really young, and Sharon will remember this, and for sure Inez, women sat upstairs. They didn't sit downstairs until I was about 10 years old. So we sat in the balcony, and you can close your eyes and still remember what it was like to peek through a railing down to downstairs to see the men praying. So that's really from yesteryear, but that existed for us for a long time. And finally we went downstairs. And at the same time that we went downstairs, they exchanged these hard brown benches for theater seats that were taken from one of the theaters owned by Jewish people in Glace Bay. So that's a nostalgic memory.
Yeah, we had interesting rabbis. And well, there was the rabbi, well, you had a good relationship with Rabbi Mykoff and his wife. And then there was it Rabbi Bergman? We would jump out the window at the back of Cheder class. Yeah.
What do you miss most about Glace Bay?
Is the concerts. Remember the concerts?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there would be, I guess, a concert at the end of the school year that the rabbi would organize, and there would be songs. And I can't remember if there was plays as well, but we had a stage in the Talmud Torah, and it was a major event, learning the songs and then singing at the annual concert. That was one of the things. And then the experience with the rabbis, the different rabbis for me, and of course the Hasadandas and Shul, you know, the men who maintained decorum.
And anyone else?
When we were young, we thought we had nothing. But in the end, when she looked out at the cemetery, she realized that there was a time when we had everything. I remember her saying that day.
Oh, thank
So
you, Judith.
that paraphrases it.
That's
Yes, thank you.
beautiful.